This is the Diablo 3 Primer. The purpose of this video is to portray the full story of the games Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, and also to introduce additional historical lore from before the first game and leading up to the start of Diablo 3. This video does not contain spoilers for Diablo 3. In the beginning, there was only the being known as Anu. Anu was the sum of all things, both good and evil. Seeking a state of total purity and perfection, Anu cast out all evil from itself. This evil formed into the being Tathamet, the first prime evil. Anu and Tathamet warred against one another for ages uncounted. When their energies were finally expended, their final blows destroyed them both. Their deaths ignited an explosion of light and matter so vast that it birthed the very universe itself. From the remains of Anu, the high heavens and the angels were born. From the remains of Tathamet, the burning hells and the demons were spawned. From that first moment of creation, the high heavens and the burning hells clashed in the eternal conflict.
Since the first spark of creation, angels have waged the eternal conflict to defeat the forces of darkness and corruption. Led by the Angira's council, their unity made them an indomitable force for light and righteousness. Stand fast! Oriel, Archangel of Hope. Malthael, Archangel of Wisdom. Ethereal, Archangel of Fate. Tyrael, Archangel of Justice. And Imperious, the Archangel of Valor.
Hold, Imperious. We must regroup our forces.
Hold! Victory is within our grasp! We press on, brother!
Diablo. Are you prepared to face me alone, Imperious? Your rage makes you powerful, yet you hide it from your brethren. Fear them seeing you for what you
Fear nothing!
This was your trap, Diablo.
Pitiful.
Yet, here you all are.
At last we have captured one of the prime evils. Holding him will surely turn the tide of war in our favor.
Take your vengeance, Imperius. Seal your victory.
This is not justice, brother. Nor does this decision lie with you alone. If you slay him, he will simply return in time. But if we imprison him...
Against his kind, there could only be blood for blood!
Sacrilege.
So much for your unity. The trap, at last, is sprung.
Angels, demons, I fear their conflict will soon engulf the world of men. And when it does, what hope will there be when even the wrath of angels cannot be quenched?
This is the war for control of all creation. And the war rages on, even today. The high heavens are led by the 5 most powerful archangels of heaven, known as the Angiris Council. Imperius is the archangel of valor, who wields Solarian, the spear of valor. Tyrael is the Archangel of Justice, who wields Eldruin, the Sword of Justice. Ariel is the Archangel of Hope, who wields Almaish, the Cord of Hope. Itheriel is the Archangel of Fate, who wields Talusar, the Scroll of Fate. Malthael is the Archangel of Wisdom, who wields Chaladar, the Chalice of Wisdom. Seven is the number of powers of hell, and 7 is the number of the great evils. Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish. Duriel, the Lord of Pain. Belial, the Lord of Lies. And Asmodan, the Lord of Sin. These are the true names of the 4 lesser evils. Since the moment of creation, each has ruled over their own domain within the burning hells, and commanded the legions of hell spawned there. While these 4 lesser evils each held dominion over their own divisions of hell, there were a greater 3 who held absolute power over the whole of hell. They are the prime evils. Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred. Baal, the Lord of Destruction, and Diablo, the Lord of Terror. These are the three prime evils of hell, who wield their power as a dark, sovereign triumvirate. Through brutal force and malicious cunning, they ruled over the four lesser evils and were responsible for countless victories over the armies of the light. After millennia of conflict, an advisor to the Angiras Council, Inarius, sought to escape the unending brutality of the war. Inarius went rogue. Lilith, daughter of the prime evil Mephisto, shared his feelings, and the angel and demon fell in love. Together, they created a new world called Sanctuary, and used the World Stone to hide the world from both angels and demons. This world is also known as the Mortal Realm, and they hoped it was a place their children could live free from the eternal conflict. The offspring of angels and demons were called Nephilim. The first Nephilim had power greater than angels or demons. Fearing the power of this new race, the rogue demons who followed Lilith to Sanctuary wanted to destroy the Nephilim. Troubled by the dissension, Inarius retreated for a period of solitary reflection on the matter. In his absence, Lilith was driven into a mad frenzy by the threat of her children's extinction. In her rage, Lilith slaughtered her fellow renegades, both angel and demon alike. Beholding the carnage upon his return, Inarius subdued Lilith, but was unable to kill his lover. Instead, he banished Lilith to the void. To reduce the power of the abominations he had helped create, Inarius again retuned the World Stone to diminish the power of the Nephilim with each succeeding generation. The Nephilim's power slowly vanished, and they became the first humans. The newly born race of humans thrived and spread across the world to form the mighty kingdoms and empires of the modern day. Eventually, the peace of Sanctuary was shattered when the burning hells discovered it, and the three prime evils founded the triune religion in an effort to subvert the will and the very soul of humanity. Fearing for the fate of his children, Inarius founded the Cathedral of Light to counter the triune, and thus began the secret war for mankind's soul, known as the Sin War. The eternal conflict soon spilled over into Sanctuary when the high heavens learned of the mortal realm. Both sides recognized the strategic value of humanity for the eternal conflict, and open warfare soon broke out on Sanctuary. In the end, a group of resurgent Nephilim managed to briefly drive back the host of angels and the legions of hell. After the battle, the Angiras Council recognized that the mortals were dangerous and convened to determine the final fate of humanity. The Council was evenly split on the complete genocide of mankind and sparing them to develop free of divine interference. The deciding vote was cast by Tyrael, Archangel of Justice, and humanity was spared annihilation. The Angiras Council and the Prime Evils agreed not to interfere with the natural development of mankind, and the memories of the Sin War were removed from the minds of mortals. The Prime Evils had no intention of abiding by the agreement. They immediately turned their attention to the secret perversion of human souls, for they realized that mankind was the key to their eventual victory over the high heavens. After the armistice, the lesser evils believed that the Primes were afraid to continue the war with heaven, and began to plot a rebellion against their leaders. Asmodam and Belial devised a plan to end the armistice, seize victory in the Sin War, and ultimately ride the bloody crest of the great conflict into the very arms of Armageddon. Thus, a great revolution was set in motion, and the legions of Hell went to war against the three prime evils. The civil war in Hell was devastating, as the three primes fought with all of their infernal power. More than a third of the Hell's treacherous legions were destroyed in the war, but in the end, the prime evils were overcome by the traitors and were exiled to the mortal realm. The pact between the lesser evils quickly fell to ashes, as Asmodan and Belial began to argue over who had greater authority and took up arms against each other. The prime evils roamed the far east of Sanctuary, feeding upon the lusts of men and leaving chaos in their wake. The three brothers could inhabit the bodies of humans and used this ability to control political and religious figures. Under the influence of evil, entire nations were led into brutal and petty wars, and many native creatures were twisted into vile and depraved shadows of their natural forms. Eventually, Tyrael learned of the presence of the prime evils on Sanctuary. Knowing that humanity was only spared obliteration by his single deciding vote, he dared not inform the rest of the Angiris Council that humanity was again threatened by the corruption of Hell. Operating in secret, Tyrael assembled a group of powerful individuals from the various mage clans of Sanctuary. He called this group the Horadrim. Serving as the sole champion of humanity, Tyrael gave the Horadrim 3 shards from the World Stone called Soul Stones. Each of the Soul Stones was to be used to track and imprison the essence of a single prime evil. Sapphire for Mephisto, Amber for Baal, and Crimson for Diablo. The Horadrim tracked Mephisto to one of the major cities in the eastern kingdom of Kejistan. They succeeded in imprisoning the demon, but many innocent lives were extinguished by the release of the colossal magical forces required to subdue the Lord of Hatred. Mephisto's Soulstone was entrusted to the priests of Zakarum. Construction began on the temple city of Travancore, under which Mephisto's Soulstone would be guarded. When the Horadrim tracked Baal across the Twin Seas to the city of Lut Gholein, the Lord of Destruction unleashed his power in a desperate attempt to escape. The Horadrim were victorious, but the Soulstone was shattered by Baal's attack. The leader of the Horadrim, the mage Tal Rasha, used the largest remaining shard of the Soulstone to imprison Baal's essence, but he knew it would not hold the Lord of Destruction indefinitely. The surviving members of the Horadrim built a massive binding stone within a tomb of long-dead kings far beneath the ground of Lut Gholein. They etched the stone with runes of containment and bound it fast to the chamber's walls by unbreakable chains. Then, Tal Rasha ordered his brethren to chain him to the stone and volunteered to sacrifice himself to hold the demon prisoner in his mortal form. Tyrael jammed the shard of the Soulstone into Tal Rasha's chest and told his friend that his sacrifice would be remembered. Leadership of the Horadrim now fell to Jared Cain. The search for the Lord of Terror consumed the next 15 years, but the Horadrim eventually tracked Diablo to the sleepy town of Tristram in the kingdom of Honduras. In another epic battle that nearly cost all of the remaining Horadrim their lives, Diablo was defeated and imprisoned in the last Soulstone. Tyrael appeared before the Horadrim for the last time to commend them on their victory, and to order that the site must be guarded for all time, lest the Lord of Terror walk again among mankind. With their quest complete, the Horadrim debated the future of their order. Jared declared that records be kept, and rules of conduct devised. Some members return home, while others continue to seek out evil in all of its incarnations. The Horadrim they once were, though, was essentially no more. From an elite order of warrior magi, They had begun the inexorable transition to a society of stoic academics. Many years later, Mephisto managed to corrupt the Zakharum priests from within and had now twisted his guardians into his faithful servants. Under the influence of the Lord of Hatred, the Archbishop Lazarus was sent as an ambassador to Leoric, king of Kandurus. Trusting in the advice of the Archbishop, Leoric moved the throne of Kandurus to the backwater town of Tristram, where the Herodric Cathedral holding Diablo's soulstone was located. Delving into the depths beneath the cathedral, Lazarus recovered Diablo's soulstone and jammed it into the head of Leoric's youngest son, Prince Albert, thus allowing the Lord of Terror to again fully manifest in the mortal realm once more. The corruption of Diablo had already begun to darken King Leoric, who was so well known for purity of heart and deed, and the disappearance of his son further pushed Leoric toward the brink of madness. Slipping deeper under the sway of Lazarus and Diablo, King Leoric accused the innocent townsfolk of Tristram of kidnapping the prince, and many were executed. When his knight champion, Lochdannen, returned from a failed campaign against the kingdom of Westmarch, the Mad King accused him of kidnapping as well. Lochdannen recognized the madness in Leoric and was forced to slay his king. Despite his crimes, Leoric was girded in his royal armor and given a proper burial beneath the cathedral. Even in death, Diablo had plans for the once noble king.